Well, happy April, dear friends. Here we are, right in the midst of spring, and everything's growing. And this month, what's our focus going to be? It's going to be about change. Change. It's a four-letter word that has more than four letters for sure. We've had to adjust and change and adapt, and humans can do it, but we are tired of changing. And how does that relate to kind of our work, this mindful practice of sewing and letting go? Well, sometimes we do need that rhythmic consistency to help us pause and not have to think so much about our making. And sometimes we need just a little shift. And I don't know about you, but I've been thinking about why I gravitate towards certain crafts and hobbies at different times rather than others. And I've noticed that in times of change, I do just keep coming back to sewing. It's like a friend you sit with and chat with. But, there are some other things that I focus on with knitting and then now watercolor. It's interesting what I feel in the mood for, and it seems, like in the mood, but actually I think that there's something back in there, something deeper that's telling me this is what you need right now, and this is soothing. So I won't spend too much time face to face. I'll get to the work of starting some things that we're going to work on this month that relate to change. It also, as I've shared, I'm doing a lot of reading and some research, and I'm about to be 48 this month. April is my birthday month, and I am thinking about middle age and the changes and reading about that and these different seasons of life that we have and we go through. And I feel myself being in one. So some of the readings and things that I share, if you're in that stage of life or getting close to that, I hope it might be beneficial. It's something that I wish my mother is gone now, and most of the a lot of my women in my family. So I don't have a lot of people to connect with that can kind of pave the way and tell me what to expect as we go into different stages of life. And maybe you find yourself in that path as well. So maybe some of this journey, while it will be fun and engaging, maybe we can think deeply about that and how that change fits into, the context of our life and why this, why now, why do we gravitate towards sewing and connecting back to a practice that is so, so very old. And sometimes it gets a bad rap, but that's probably because they haven't really tried it and felt the benefits of making something with your hands and stepping back and just looking at what you've done and what a sense of autonomy one has when you do that. I also truly believe when I'm doing this channel that others like me know that as you get older, your brain changes, but you still like to think deeply about ideas. And I recognized as I'm getting older and my kids are older and don't need me as much, I didn't have as much brain space for that. And now that I am practicing that and reading, it's just really opening a whole new world and reminding myself that that's who I was and who I still am. And we can reinvent ourselves. So that's kind of the work that we're going to do this month. Unpack stages that we have and the benefits and challenges of those, how we can move through them, how we can kind of take our practice and change and not be afraid of the change, and maybe not be so linear in our thinking that we have to make a project and it has to turn out this way, but kind of freeing ourselves up to just engage with it and let it be what it will. That's kind of where I am in life right now. Just accepting and letting it be as it will. I hope that you will join me and that all that made sense. and we'll have some fun together because I really have saved the best for April. I promise. There's lots of different things and some simple tools that we'll use, and we'll just create together. Okay, thanks for joining me. Okay, so just in this video, we're getting set up, and I wanted to make sure that you had kind of a comprehensive list of all the things that we're going to use here in April. And it's going to seem like a lot. And of course, I actually have all of this stuff at home. And I recently bought this gel plate that I'll show you. And I'm new to this process, so it will likely be the last one that we do. So let me go through some of the things. So it's going to be a lot of collaging and multimedia work, because that's what change does, right? We interact with a bunch of different mediums ourselves in our lives, and this process is going to kind of mimic some of that. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to use some stencils, and we're going to use some paint, definitely fabric paint. And this is a brand that I've been using and have used for some projects. Oops. And it comes in, sometimes they come in sets. This is a raw sienna, and I went with an earth tone set from this particular brand, and I think I got this on Amazon, raw umber. So there are a lot of earth tones, which I really like. And then, of course, we're going to be, with the textile paints, we're going to be using either some stencils that you find at a craft store, or there's tons of different places, art stores and things like that. This is one that I've used and I can show. Think through kind of some bigger pieces, not some really fine detailed stencils, because we're going to be stitching in there and we're going to need some open spaces. So we're going to do some reverse applique and maybe an applique and stuff, but definitely with the stencils. And then my husband and I created this one. I was doing some projects for some students, just showing, that we can thrive out of hardship things. But you can buy this stencil paper, and if you like the idea of making your own, then you can do that and lay this on top of, or have a paper on top and just use an X-Acto knife. It's not, I won't say it's easy, but it is doable, especially if you like to create your own things from scratch. We're also going to engage in printing off some either images or pictures, and so I've got a variety of transfers. These are t-shirt transfer paper, so this is this particular brand. Oops, looks like all the guts of it fell out, but basically it comes in this that you can put right into your printer, and then you can peel off, and it's kind of sticky. So that can work in that way. And along those lines, and you'll see a preview in just a second, I had these for a long time, and these are inkjet printable fabric. It's iron-on. It actually is a little piece of fabric, this like a square of fabric, and I can feel it. Also with a back that gets peeled off. If the challenge with this, and we use this with a quilt that my daughter made to showcase our family tree, it is a little bit thick, so sewing through this might be a little bit tricky. And you already see some images that I'm going to use that I printed out in black and white. So I'm bummed that I have this extra stuff in here, so I might find a different way to get some images to go onto this. And I guess I'll toggle over while we're talking about that. So this is a gel plate. I bought this one. I know that there's videos online that show that you can make one on your own. Do you see that image? It's kind of a ghost-like image of my grandma's picture. I have already imprinted that on here, and then I'm going to work to take it off and put it onto fabric. And so that's one thing that we're going to do, and you might get excited. Please don't go and buy one. But if you have gelatin in your cabinet and you get to this part and you get really inspired and you want to create your own, they can be kind of pricey, And I knew that this was something that I wanted to do over and over again, so I didn't go ahead and splurge on that. They're not like outrageous. I want to say under $20, but you know, that's an investment for me. And so there's that. And then I bought this particular pack for my daughter, who really loves embroidery. And again, I had a different project in mind for her school, but it comes with, it's kind of feels like fabric, and it might even be. But what the idea is, this can also go through your printer, and you can have kind of more of a scaled design. And so the idea is you can actually sew right through this onto the fabric. So it gets fused onto the fabric. And then once you do that, you can either have a hoop or, you know, it adds a little structure and you can sew through it. But the beautiful thing is you can just wash it, and this washes away. So it's stitch and stick, and yeah, it just washes away. Self-adhesive wash away. So it is like magic. You know, yes, you could print out something and you could transfer it on. You know, we have these lovely Pilot friction pens, and I've traced things, designs on there. But this is nice if you have a design that you see online that you can just print out and then attach on here onto your fabric and then just go crazy. Another one, this is I'm going to be trying things on this particular scrap. So I think that you should have a scrap too if you have a piece where you can experiment with the different colors and things. And this one I may be learning while videoing, and it may be a mess, but I really want to try to be able to watercolor onto fabric, and I want to add a layer somewhere onto my piece with that. So I have this Daniel Smith watercolor ground. I've heard online and watched some videos on how it might be possible to create a background on there and then watercolor on top of it. Again, stay tuned. That could be fun. And if that's the case, then you might want a nice little inexpensive set of watercolors, even just from the dollar store and things. And then with all that painting, need a little stencil brush. I like these really small ones, even whenever I have a bigger space, like this right here. This is fairly big for this small, but it's still kind of nice to paint in there. And then there might be some other supplies that we'll need, you know, like some painter's tape to tack this down, or maybe some spray adhesive. But I just wanted to share some of those supplies. One, to help you feel prepared. If you have some of these things, pull them out, and it will be fun to engage with you this month with these things. And two, also to generate some excitement. I hope you'll have fun with me and explore these materials and how we can use them. So finally, you might want some family photos, because the first one, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Some of these you kind of got a preview. With this idea of change happens because we have a past, and then we have a change or changing, and then we have our future. So we're going to engage with all of those time frames, the past, the present, and the future. So you're going to want to have some access to maybe some photos that you want to interact with on fabric. And we're just going to explore and have fun and see how things pan out. So that's that. I look forward to working with you this month and exploring some different ways that we can sew and let go and continue our creativity from last month and explore some new materials and things. Of course, it goes without saying that needle and thread and scissors and all those things that we've been using are also going to be supplies. I just wanted to note these extras. All right, I'll see you in a few days.